Steering wheel, somebody tell him to give it to me.
There's something loose between my legs.
I don't know. Let go!
I'm heavier than a freaking boat.
Nothing he's could say can make that any better.
No more radio for the rest of the race.
I'm going home.
Hello and welcome to DRS FC, an F1 podcast by soccer nerds. I am a soccer nerd. My name is André Carlisle, and I'm here with two other soccer nerds. Deepti, how are you?
I'm doing great, André. I'm so ready for this European leg.
Ooh, we're finally in Europe. I'm excited as well. And I'm also here with Meg. Meg, how are you?
I'm doing well. I wish I was being well paid on a European tour, but we will get you ready to watch other people get paid to be on a European tour.
Yeah, don't we all? Wouldn't we all like to be anywhere but here? Well, Deepti's not here, but Deepti understands what's going on here. So.
And if you want your DRS SC Politics podcast, you're never getting it. So
I know, right? It's never coming. Listen, we gave you Pope news. What else do you want from us? All right.
I do. Politics. I don't have.
We can only do so much.
I don't have any Pope news, but I do have an important update for the podcast. I did just Google the phrase Italian ducks, and I am happy to report that there are in fact ducks based in Italy. They originally came from Germany. They look quite cute, so I hope we get some duct tates. Wow, I can't say that word. Duck updates.
In a while.
We haven't had a duck update in a while, and I'm delighted that you also said they're based in, like they move around from time to time.
Mm-hmm. I am now on some sort of watch list because I'm now on the list of birds of Italy Wikipedia. Anyway, more
your
updates
NSA
to come.
Agent is just having a great time. Just the most confused person alive. Calling people over to their cubicle like, what is happening here? Please make sense of this. All right, we are going to preview Imola. It is the race. I'm going to do this, all right? I'm going to do it. I am an American person. I don't speak another language. I wish I spoke another language. It is a goal of mine to learn another language. I don't know which language. I kind of want Portuguese because I want to go to Brazil and I want to eventually live in Portugal. All of that is aside, I'm basically stalling because I don't really want to say Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. That's
Woo! Mamma mia!
You just gotta you have to add the hand gestures.
Oh, there you go.
I know this is an audio medium, but still.
I want you guys to know. In our document where we lay out what we're going to talk about, I literally put star, hand gesture, star. So just know, spiritually, we're all doing the hand gesture multiple times during this podcast.
Absolutely. We'll be doing that. And honestly, Ferrari fans might be doing a lot of that this weekend. Whatever, we'll talk about it. All right. So this is the...
You said Internazionale better than Jamie Carragher, so that's a win.
I'll take that as a win. Officially, it translates to Enzo and Dino's Ferrari International Circuit. So Enzo Ferrari, obviously, Dino was his son. So there you go. This is a 4.909 kilometer long track. It is 3.05 miles for us who deal in miles. They'll be doing 63 laps. The lap record, 1 minute, 15.484 seconds. That was Lewis Hamilton back in 2020. Interesting. So we've been seeing lap records fall. It'll be, by the way, race lap record is what this is. This is always the race lap record. So we'll see what happens within the race. And it should be because we have tire news to talk about. But before that, Meg, do you want to give us a little bit of history about the track?
Yeah, so this track opened in 1953. It started hosting this Grand Prix in 1980. Like Andre mentioned, it is named after Enzo Ferrari, who was Old Man Ferrari, and his son Alfredo, which was called Dino. If you're curious about this, there is a great question mark movie called Ferrari that came out last year that kind of talks about Enzo Ferrari post his son dying. Pretty interesting. Senna and Ratzenberger tragedies both happened here at this track. If you have not watched the Senna documentary, highly recommend. It will also talk about the Ratzenberger crash as well. And so they've had some pretty substantial track changes made for safety, specifically at the Tamburello corner. The layout has had to be changed a lot. They've added chicanes to slow it down. It's a pretty fun fast track, and so they've had to make it a little less fast to keep everybody safe. And yeah, it's considered one, although it only started hosting Grand Prix in the 80s, it is considered one of the like seminal tracks of F1.
It is, and unfortunately, I think this might be one of its last runnings, or maybe the very last one, because its contract is up and do not know if it is going to return. So big old question marks. But Deepti, can you tell us what happened last year at this race?
Yes, last year Max won. Surprise, surprise. Although this was a return to a win because he had not won Miami. Lando had won. And he actually only took this win by about 0.7 seconds from Lando Norris, who got P2. And then 8 seconds behind that was Charles Leclerc, who rounded out the podium. P4 was Oscar. P5 was Carlos Sainz. And yeah, this track, you know, like we said, is very fast. So it definitely helps Max, who does very well on the fast straight. So he was able to hold the win. And there was only one DNF. It was Alex Albon. We'll get into more track characteristics, but I maybe we'll be seeing a few more DNFs, I think, or at least we'll be seeing, I want to say, like some track limits penalties, because there's not a lot of runoff in this track. So it's very easy for the drivers to go off track fully.
Yeah, there's actually a lot about this track that I do want to talk about. So let's do that now. It is technically 19 turns, but if you look at the track layout, you'll see, like, again, I always have this thing where I got beef about what they call a turn in F1. I don't feel like there's so many things that aren't just turns, they're just like a sway, and they call it a turn.
There's like a slight degree change, and they're like, no, this counts. This definitely counts.
Exactly. Because if you look at that track and you tell me, if you pull up just like the illustrated image of the track and you say, this is a track with 19 turns, no, it is not. It does not look like it has 19 of anything on it. But this is what they say.
Also, can I just say, the track to me, at least the image that we have in our like notes, every time I look at it, I just see like a dolphin/manatee figure. I can't get over that.
Wow, I've never thought about it. You're right. It is kind of like a bottlenose dolphin.
Bottlenose dolphin. There you go. Yeah, I was like, that's exactly.
That's the Florida in me coming out, that I was able to identify the dolphin. Fallon, I can you come on the podcast and tell us about bottlenose dolphins, please?
Please do. Fallon's welcome on any podcast I do. I'm marveling at the fact that you just said that, and I don't know if I like you for the fact that you just said that, because now it is all I can see. It's really unfortunate. All right, so this dolphin-shaped track has one DRS zone. It's at the beginning of the start-finish straight, or at least the start-finish line. It does go into that chicane, which you'll see. That's the Tamburello chicane, which Meg was talking about. They instituted that because otherwise that part was flat out. And there is a little like hill kind of like curve change. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if I would call it a turn, but it certainly is something you have to deal with as a driver. And that is where Senna had his crash, where either a steering column broke or whatever happened. Who knows? People kind of, I guess the primary theory is the steering column broke when he was trying to turn the car, and instead it went straight off into a wall. So that is why you will see a bit of a chicane there. Really interesting track to me. Again, I'm going to get on my video games are good soapbox and say, if you want to know more about this track, if you want to see what it looks like to drive, play video games. You got to do it. F1, I think 25 is coming out soon, I think at the end of this month. But you can get an old F1 game. The track is still there. It's been an F1 track for a while. I think it's not in the Gran Turismo game, but I think it is obviously an F1 manager as well. Whatever. Any way you can, or I guess you can also go to YouTube and look up an onboard video if you want to. But yeah, go see how fun this track is. It is very fast. It is really cool. Deepti, what do you think about the track overall?
I like this one actually because it's very fast, and there are also quite a few technical sections. You mentioned one of the chicanes, the Variante Alta. There's also the Variante Bassa chicane, both of which you need to like be very precise in your braking, and just be on the racing line. Like I said, there's a limited runoff area, and so based on when they brake or when they are able to turn and however they deal with like those corners and all, we could be seeing quite a few track limits penalties. Hopefully no crashes, unless they're safe, chaotic crashes, as long as everyone's okay. But that, and then there's also a few elevation changes. And so that requires some technical skill as well. There's something called the Ravazza corner, which is just another like layer to this track. But yeah, I'm excited about the speed that we're going to see and also the technical ability of the drivers. In terms of how it affects the cars, there's not a lot of tire degradation. And it's just like whichever car has the optimal setup for maximum straight line speed and also like managing that with the downforce, we're going to get like whoever is able to optimize that pair will do really well.
Also, just to be honest, this track is so fun to say. Like every corner has a dope name. Aqua Minerale. Yeah. Like they're just, I love listening to the commentary, even like the British guys trying to say it. I like a little whimsy in my F1 races. I like a little fun name. I like a little, this is named after this person. I think I like a history fact. So also, this is
André had said the whole name, but it's also the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and it's also known as Imola. So like there's many names. It's almost as many names as Carlos Sainz has, but we're
not quite, but we're almost there. Almost romance there. Languages. I just think it's fun. But yeah, it's definitely fast. There's definitely the elevation change. They always are going to get cool shots of cars coming over the hill. Like it's just very cinematic to watch. They're going really fast. They're coming through an elevation. Just very beautiful. Not as beautiful as Charles Leclerc on the USGP track, but close. Very close.
Yeah, you mentioned the Aqua Minerale. I love that. It's just a mineral water. That's it. That's what it's called, which is very interesting.
It sounds so much better when they say it, and then
it sure
mineral
does.
Water. Oh, yeah. Come on.
That
gross.
Mineral water corner. It's just annoying. Why do we talk like this? But that is one of the cool, like, sloping turns. That's one of my favorite ones to when I'm being a fake race car driver and I'm driving, either like on a video game or something. That's one of my favorite ones to kind of go down and around because it is pretty technical, but also you're not necessarily flat out, but you're not braking. You're just kind of going through it and kind of letting the car do what it does, and you're trying to control it through there until you can get back on the gas. So I do really like how this goes. All right, before we take a break and talk about what to watch, I think it is worth talking about because I mentioned it earlier that this track seems to be going away, and his contract is up, and it looks like from what I'm hearing that there is no real impetus for it being renewed or brought back at any point. I thought it might get in a rotation. A lot of the European races, like the European legs, are going to be rotated tracks. It doesn't seem like Imola is going to be one of them, at least not yet. They said something about I think it was Domenicali said it's hard to do 2 Italian races. And while I kind of understand that, I don't understand that because America has 3. And we're a big country. We're much bigger than Italy, but we don't have the motorsport history that Italy does, especially not within F1. So I'm a little surprised that he said that and kind of used it as a justification. So Deepti, what are your kind of thoughts on this track going away? Are you kind of like, cool, it makes room for maybe something else because it is kind of old and it is hard to pass with these bigger cars? What do you think?
Yeah, the point you just made, I think maybe it makes sense if we're talking about just racing and how it looks. The fact that the cars are getting bigger almost every year. And we know, like, besides Monaco, like, this race maybe has, like, as little passing and ability to overtake, which is not necessarily the most fun to watch. So in that sense, I do understand it. And it's not like they're going to really change the track in order to make it, better for overtaking. But I'm not sure if they have like a better option at this point. I haven't actually looked into like if they're planning on where they're planning on putting another track, or which one they're planning on bringing back if that is the case. But it will be sad. I mean, it's a historical one. And like you said, Italy has so much racing history that it does make sense to like have 2 in that country. But I guess I'm indifferent. I won't be like sad if it goes, but I also will be like fine if it stays.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make room for Madrid, and I think they also want to get a race in Africa. That'll probably be South Africa. I'm not sure. There's a few countries with tracks that are trying to vie for it as well. So, like, I get expanding it, and I do think adding other tracks is fun, but losing a bit of the history is a little bit unfortunate, at least to me. Meg, what do you think?
I think the hard part is that while everyone agrees, like, it's very historic, it's kind of, like you meant, for the reasons you mentioned, aged out of being a dramatic course. Although last year was a dramatic race. Lando tried to chase down Max. I think the hard part is there's nobody really fighting for it. Ferrari obviously would enjoy having 2 races there, but they're going to prioritize Monza over Imola. And so there's just not all these other races. Like South Africa has a huge contingency fighting for it. And I do agree we should have a race in Africa again. Madrid, you have Carlos Sainz family behind it. You have Fernando behind it. There's just not really anyone that's like really running for Imola. All the Italian teams are like Monza. They like Imola, but it's just not, there's really no huge push for power behind it. And that's unfortunately what needs to happen for races. I do think it's silly that there's 3 in the United States. It does seem a bit excessive, but on the flip side, if I hear one more European person complain about having to wake up early or stay up late to watch a race, I will eagle caca noise in your face, because we have to do that for literally every sport, guys. Come on.
Yeah, if you forgot or you haven't heard, we are soccer nerds. We are very used to getting up very early to watch to watch our teams, and then either attaching our entire emotional outlook on the entire day to what happens before like 9 a.m. It's not a healthy life.
I also want to say, you mentioned like Ferrari obviously will back Monza more than this. The team that is technically the home team for this race is Racing Bulls. It's the Red Bull 2.0 because their factory is the closest. And I guess like when they're called Toro Rosso or Toro Rossi, that like the Italian name and AlphaTauri, whatever, it made more sense. But yeah, so it kind of makes sense that like there is not a huge push for it because obviously like Red Bull as a whole has Spa. And so they're like, I think not going to care as much if they lose this one as like a home race.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think this, I hate to say this, but I've been listening to a couple other podcasts and kind of people who travel to the races. Like I've never been to an F1 race, so I certainly have never been to Italy or Imola to watch this race. But apparently it is not a good race for like spectators. So it doesn't have the best facilities to set up. You can't really do all the activations and things that are really like that you want to do now to make a race like a VIP event. And I think that probably more than anything else is probably why they're like, if we can't sell VIP tickets or get a bunch of people to come here to kind of make an event of it, that's kind of where F1 is right now, with the kind of trying to make every race seem sort of prestige, have this element of it that also crosses over with social media and everything else. It seems like Imola's a bit too old school for all of that, so it doesn't really work out. And I guess that's another reason why it is not going to stick around. So, okay. Let's take a quick break and then let's get to the main storylines that we want to watch in this upcoming race. All right, Imola's farewell tour, I'm just going to call it that because, whatever, starts now-ish. And so we're going to throw out a couple things that we want to watch throughout the weekend. Kyle is not here, but he did add something to watch, which I want to start with, especially Deepti with you, because he mentions tires. He wants us to do some hashtag tire talk. He says some softer tires are coming. It is the debut of the softest tire in Pirelli's range, the C6. So he thinks a quick track will equal qualifying and strategy chaos. Do you agree?
I do agree, and I think that the race lap record, rather, could be broken because we have, like you said, the softest tires, which means they'll probably be the fastest tires. This is not a track that has high tire degradation, so they're able to use softer compounds, and which will last a bit longer. So yeah, we'll just see. I think it'll just add to how quick the race and how quick the like cars can actually go. So whether that means more chaos in terms of drivers like not being able to brake properly at those chicanes, or going off track more and having to be more careful to not get too many track limits. We'll see what it means, but I think it could mean more chaos, but we'll definitely see a lot of zooming.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was actually listening to the Missed Apex podcast before we hopped on, and one of their co-hosts, Matt Trumpets, he likes to talk about tires a lot, and they always tell him please stop because talking about tires is tough. But he did say that this is of course it's a very soft range, and he feels like this softest tire is going to be used as strictly the qualifying tire, which is not unusual. But he did say last year's tire, which would have been the qualifying tire, the softest compound, only lasted like 7 laps, average 7 laps in a race. And the medium only lasted about 22 laps in a race. So if that remains the same in terms of degradation, this could open up strategy things as well, because I think one of the other issues with this race is a very long pit lane. I think it's like an average loss of like 26 seconds, which is really, really long, according like when you time all the other tracks and all the other pit lanes on the calendar. So I don't know if it does allow for more strategy. I'm here for it, but I'm also a little bit scared because 7 laps and 22 laps for your main race tires, and I don't know what the hard tire was because I don't think it was ever. He didn't give us that math, but like.
I think most drivers last year actually started on the hard. If I'm not mistaken, this track has now almost exclusively become a one-stop race.
Yeah.
1, because a pit lane is so long, and 2, it's like there's not much degradation. So they might start with hard or medium and then finish with the alternate. So maybe the softest won't actually be used during the race, like you said. So it'll affect the qualifying more. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see like if everything goes a step down, like will those hards and mediums last as long as they did last season, or will we see potentially some 2 stops needing to happen?
And I will say it looks like there's going to be no chance of rain. It's under 20% for qualifying. There is about a 20% chance of rain for the race. So it kind of depends if they use them in qualifying. Obviously, if there's no rain, we won't get any like crazy strategy, but there is a chance if we get rain that everything goes into chaos mode.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think we might see quite a bit of chaos mode. Deepti keeps mentioning track limits with a lot of the drivers, but I mean, we've got rookies at a very fast track with very soft tires. This is going to be interesting.
Speaking of rookies, I'm just going to read Ebony's really quick. Does Colapinto keep the spot? And does he do a good job this weekend? This is a really hard one to start at. He has raced at it before in lower series. This is a track that's consistently used in lower series. But I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. This is a lot of pressure. Alpine did not do themselves any favors with how they handled this all. Everyone is Team Jack, which is a weird place to be. Franco is fun, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
The interesting thing is, I like Colapinto. I think he's a funny dude. I love hearing him interviewed because you just have no idea what he's going to say that he shouldn't say. But like, he also crashed a lot. So
he went fast, but he crashed. So like, I guess their bet is that they can get the crashes out of him. I also wonder, is he still going to be a funny interview? I hope he is. But like, is Briatore going to put the fear of God in him to like not say anything controversial?
Yeah. For me, when I saw Colapinto was coming back for this one, I think for him, it's going to go one of 2 ways. He'll either go in the wall or he'll do really well. And I don't think there's really any in between for him. Hopefully it's the latter. But yeah, having Briatore there now, just like having eyes on him constantly. And this is like his first of... I think I saw somewhere that he's also going to get 5 races to kind of prove himself, and then they'll decide between Jack and Franco who's going to keep that spot, or if they're going to bring someone else, I don't know. But yeah, it's a very tough position for him to be in. So we'll see.
Yeah, so apparently Colapinto's contract is only for 5 races, which is interesting that they're like vocal about that because that was the speculation about Jack. Like he only signed a 6-race contract and Alpine was like, no, he's fine. We have him. He's great. Yeah, we have these reserve drivers, but we're going to give Jack the best, like all the chance in the world to show us what he has. Clearly, he had a 5-race or 6-race contract. And so they're just coming straight out and saying that about Colapinto is interesting, especially when you add in the rumors that Carlos Slim has been knocking on some doors, talking to people at Alpine apparently, and he would like to get Checo back into F1. So, could be some money coming Alpine's way, which Briatore does love money. And then also Checo getting that seat if Colapinto crashes, which he may just do because that's what he does sometimes. This could be a route for Checo to be back, which would be just fascinating.
Checo, stop it, dude. Go home. Be a family man. I like you as a human. Just stop. Go away.
But Liam Lawson did show us through all of his bravado and being awful in the first 2 weekends and then getting booted out of that seat that car is hard as hell to drive. Yuki's doing much better than he was doing, but Yuki's still not like near Max. You know, like Lewis has been a lot closer to Charles than Yuki has been to Max. Like he's still having a hard time figuring out that car. So like maybe Checo in another team, he's kind of used to being on, like when he made his name, he was on teams that weren't great anyway. He just would pull good performances out. Maybe we get that Checo again. I don't know. I know I'm dreamcasting here because I feel like we were very mean to him, but also he'd come back and just suck. And then I'll be like, all right, never mind.
That definitely could happen. If he comes back, I hope he does well. But like, buddy, get on LinkedIn, do your B2B. Go be a family man. You don't need to come back. Anyway, on much happier topics, what I would like you to watch is Italians being Italian. Italian crowds, notoriously quite fun. Hand gestures abound. There will be at least 500 Pope costumes, I'm predicting. Will there be ducks on the track? Who knows? But we know they're Italian ducks. And so it'll just be very fun as a crowd watching experience, particularly if Kimi Antonelli or Charles or Lewis do well.
Well, that's all I was going to ask you. What portion of like Italian fans will be happy and what portion will be sad? Because I'm concerned about Ferrari still. I actually think we're going to continue to have issues with Ferrari at least until maybe Barcelona, and I'll kind of mention why in a second. But I'm scared about Ferrari and Lewis being in like the first Italy race in Ferrari and it going horribly.
I don't know that it's gonna go horrible in that I don't think they're gonna win. We'll talk about why my predictions indicate otherwise, but realistically, they're probably not gonna win. But that doesn't mean that they can't still have a good showing. I think as long as they look into the fight and their tires aren't completely degraded, fans are gonna be upset. They want them to win, but I think hanging on is still a good thing for them to do. We don't know what chaos could happen. Maybe the papayas take each other out and Charles and Lewis get to go for a win. Sorry, Deepti.
That won't happen. That won't happen.
Yeah, you just hurt Deepti's heart there for a second. Yeah, I don't know. I am happy for Kimi. I think this will be fun to see Kimi, in his first Italian race, as an F1 driver. This is going to be very fun to see him. So I'm excited to see what he does. And, he qualified very well in Miami. So maybe we get to see another outrageous performance from him in qualifying. And then we also saw him learn plenty of lessons during the race, even though he caught both races, really, the sprint and the main race. So maybe he can apply those already. Who knows? Maybe this could be some home cooking and he gets his first podium. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Deepti, save me.
Whoa.
What are you watching?
I was going to say, I'm excited to see Kimi in this one. We'll see what he can do. But I am watching all the teams for their car upgrades because this is a big race because of the break and because of the start of like a long European sector. Like we said, a lot of the teams choose to bring massive upgrades to the car at this time in the season. And a lot of them will be doing that. Red Bull especially has said that they're have a radical overhaul of especially Max's car. Max and Yuki won't be running the exact same packages because they want to collect some data about something else with Yuki's car. But basically they're going to overhaul a lot of the car's design, from like the side pod to something in the chassis and like underneath, basically to bridge the gap to McLaren. Ferrari has also said that they are bringing some pretty big upgrades to this car. Something with the rear end and the lack of downforce that they get with there, which is mostly impacting Lewis's car and how it's like not stable and he doesn't like the balance in that. Again, all the teams that are changing their cars are like, yeah, we just need to bridge the gap to McLaren. I'm not sure if McLaren is bringing too many upgrades because they did have a small upgraded package in Miami, so they might not be changing a whole lot. But yeah, there's a few of the other teams also are changing. Mercedes as well. So 3 of the top of the big 4 teams for sure will have pretty vastly different upgrades, I think, and different cars. So that could be interesting to see if they do close the gap to McLaren, or if, maybe it's the wrong upgrade. We'll see how it actually performs on the track. But that is what I'm looking forward to.
That is very interesting to me. I didn't actually think teams would bring big upgrades, only because like we have this race, then we have Monaco, which is a very different, like that's a really extreme setup. And then you have Barcelona, where everything changes in terms of the flexi wing thing. Like that's kind of the end of it. And I thought that teams would kind of wait until after Monaco to get their, like, bring out all the new bits to the car to make sure that the car isn't impacted too much by not having that flexi wing anymore. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that, but I love hearing it that it's going to happen, because I've been like, I don't know what Ferrari can do. It seems like they kind of understand their issue. They can't run the car low, and if you can't run the car low, you can't really compete when it comes to speed and especially cornering. And so yeah, I hope they can fix that. I'm just scared of like hope. I don't want to hope for that.
The hard part is, I think part of the reason they're probably bringing upgrades here is that it's not a sprint weekend, so they can get a full data.
Yeah.
And then, like, Monaco, obviously they don't want to get data at, and then it's going to be a sprint weekend at Monza, and so I assume that's why. But
and Barcelona might be too late to, like, at that point. I think especially for Red Bull, they, I can't remember who said it, but they were quoted in saying basically, this is like the make or break point. And so if these upgrades don't really change the car for the better, they are not really going to be targeting like driver championship. And so I feel like that's why they're doing Imola, just because, like you said, Monaco, then nobody's going to bring major upgrades to. And then after that, but just might be too late.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I hadn't, considered the fact that like they had a sprint weekend, so there wasn't really another, like the last time they had a full practice session was probably like a month ago. With their cars. So that's very, very interesting. So yeah, this could be kind of fun. All right. The last thing I'll say, as far as what to watch, what I'll be watching for this weekend is it's starting to get a little bit spicy now between like the results, not interpersonally, but the results between Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. I think it's getting very interesting. It now looks like that car is legit. That Williams car is legit this year. And now I think Sainz is getting closer. He's getting more familiar with it. And now it's going to be very interesting to see those two, because Albon finished 5th in Miami. That was really, really good. A really good placement for Williams, especially without like any sort of major crash or any sort of major like bunching up of the cars at an inopportune moment for like a pit stop or anything. It was like a true legit 5th. And Carlos Sainz was kind of stuck behind the 2 Ferraris, and he ended up finishing 8th. So like, or 7th. I can't do math. 6, 7. Yes, he finished 8th. Good Lord. And so I'm excited to see what their battle might look like in qualifying and on the track.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting now that they both have a car that is clearly coming good. I think a lot of people assumed Carlos was the better driver. I have always stand Alex Albon. I think he got a raw deal at Red Bull and then has since been with a bad car. And so it'll be kind of interesting to see which one is proven as like the true underrated driver, because they're both seen as pretty underrated guys. There can only be one.
It's the battle of who can be the most underrated driver. I'm sure that's exactly what Carlos Sainz wanted this year to be about.
Yeah, of course.
Oops.
I may have been a bit premature in my Williams hope and praise, but I'm not going to say that they're podiuming yet again, but I think we're getting there. Like you said, we're going to see it happen. A Williams podium and potentially double podium is going to happen later this season. Not this race, but later this season.
You threw out a potential double podium. I was like, I could see a podium, but a potential double podium is up in the ante.
Yeah, it is. But never say never.
Yeah, I'm kind of here for it. I mean, listen, Ebony's not here, so I can say it. If two Alpine drivers can stand on a podium, I know that race was chaotic, but still, two Alpine drivers on a podium shouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
So anything can happen. We will see. All right, let's take a quick break and get into our predictions because we have quite a few things to predict, and then I'll let you know when to watch everything. We have 3 practice sessions, a qualifying session, and of course the main race, and I will let you know when to watch it all. But first, predictions. All right, let's do this. We have our predictions. The way we do predictions is we will predict the podium 1, 2, and 3, obviously. And we will also predict the constructor scrap. There's always a battle going on at the top and sometimes the bottom, but the mid tier of the drivers or of the constructors. And so we like to predict that too. Who will get the most points in a weekend? Who will get the least points? We do have now some stipulations. You can't just choose the team at the top and the bottom because that's cheating, or it's just not in the spirit of the game. McLaren, so nobody can choose McLaren and nobody can choose Sauber. That's the top and the bottom at the moment. And then we also have our Zoomy and Gloomy Boy predictions, basically who's going to have a very good weekend, not necessarily who's going to win, but who's going to have a very good, solid weekend. And then Gloomy Boy is our, Checo Perez Memorial Gloomy Boy Award. That is who's going to have a bad weekend.
If he comes back, can we change it to the Jack Doohan Award?
Well, I was going to change it to the Liam Lawson Award.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like-
that's better. Wait, it should spiritually always be a Red Bull
That's true.
family member. Yes. Okay. I'm with you.
Yep, I think so. All right, let's get into our podium predictions. I'll read Kyle and Ebony's because they put theirs in here, and then Deepti will go to you. Kyle says Lando is winning. He's got Max second and Oscar Piastri third, so he's got a Red Bull split in 2 McLarens. Ebony has Oscar winning, Charles Leclerc second, and Lando third. So a Ferrari splitting 2 McLarens. Deepti, what do you have?
I unfortunately have Max winning because of just the pure speed on this track. We've seen him qualify really well, and I feel like he will probably get pole position, and with that, because it's hard to overtake as well, and because he's really good at those chicanes and knowing exactly when to brake and just following the racing line pretty well, I feel like he will win this one. And then I have Oscar second, and then I couldn't decide between Charles or George for P3. I would love it to be Charles, but I will predict George just because we still neglect him even though he's consistently there. So I'll go with Max, Oscar, George.
All right, perfect. And yeah, I think Max is a good call because this isn't exactly a track with, it doesn't have a ton of like high speed corners like, Japan, the race that he won. But it doesn't have a lot of low speed stuff either, which that Red Bull really struggled with. Like that was his problem in Miami. So this will be interesting to see him. Meg, what do you got?
I just want everyone to know that sometimes I have to be a little delulu, and today is one of those days. And so I want you to know that Charles Leclerc is going to win, Lewis is going to be in second, and Kimi Antonelli is going to round out the Italians being happy. Lots of pizza and pizza for everyone. Cannolis aplenty.
I'm glad we have one wish and hopeful podium on here because we're all thinking it.
So I just want you to know, I know this is delusional and I don't care.
We need a good balance.
I'm an Arsenal Ferrari fan. Come at me. You think I don't believe in random things? You think I haven't done dumb rituals to try to get things to win? I don't care. I'm Delulu. Come at me.
If this happens, I'm afraid that Italy may split in two because there will just be like this is what you if you get anybody from Italy reading this prediction, they will immediately they'll immediately faint. And I feel like if this actually ends up happening in real life, there will be no containing anybody in Italy. It'll just break the entire country into two pieces. And you know what? Fine,
Papa Leo, we know you're a Ferrari fan. Do the prayer. Do the thing. Ask God. I don't know. You play Wordle. You're famously like cool Pope. Let's go. Come on.
He's helping the Knicks. He can help Ferrari. Like, come on.
Right. You like the Chicago White Sox. Like, come on. You've had to believe in miracles too.
Yeah, we are begging the Pope for good results. That's where we're at in this podcast.
That's where we're at in Ferrari fandom. I'm not even a Catholic, and I'm like, please, sir, Father, please.
Please, our brand new Pope, a brand new American Chicago Pope, please help Ferrari. We ask of you only this. There's so much wrong in the world. We want this.
At this moment.
I'm gonna throw something crazy out there.
Ooh.
Pope Leo, JD Vance is a Red Bull fan. I don't know that that's true, but spiritually it feels correct.
It does,
feels correct. It feels very
and don't
correct.
you want that to not be true? You want him to be sad. So let's cheer on some Ferrari boys. Charles is spiritually Italian, and I know he's Monegasque, but spiritually that man is Italian. And
Correct.
You share a name with his dog now. Like, you got to change your name to Leo, and I think you did it after Charles's dog. You think otherwise, but I know the truth. And yeah,
you can't
anyway.
say the truth like in the Vatican, so we know the truth, but he has to kind of fake it.
Right.
Right.
I understand you wanted to support social teaching. I like that too. Look it. We have so much in common. You know what else we could have in common? Yelling Mamma Mia as Charles Leclerc comes in first in Imola.
Somebody send this podcast to the Pope. I'm sure he'll love it. All right, I'll give my prediction. Unfortunately, hey, look, I've got a little hopium in my prediction as well. I've got Lando and Oscar. So Lando 1, Oscar 2, but I have Charles Leclerc 3rd. So we will see. We will see. I'm really hoping Ferrari can do something. This hurts my heart. Like, I knew when Lewis was going and all of us Lewis fans were like, we love Ferrari now. And real Ferrari fans were like, welcome to the darkness.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Like, do you really want to live this life? And it's like, it'll be great, Lewis in red. And now here we are. All right, constructor scrap. Let's do most and least points. Kyle says Red Bull is going to have the most points. Least points, Racing Bulls. Weird dichotomy there, but there you go. Ebony says Mercedes most points. Least points, Alpine. She's turning her back
Ebony
on her beloved Alpine. I'm disappointed. Deepti, who you got?
I also got Mercedes with the most points. I really hope Kimi can do well. And least points, I'm going with Aston Martin. I've been uninspired by them.
Yeah, I think both Lance and Fernando have been forbidden from picking up points this year. I think they want as much wind tunnel time for Adrian Newey as possible.
Yeah.
So I think only Lance can't keep accidentally accidentally picking up points. But yeah, I think that's a good call. Meg, who you got for most points and least points?
Wish fulfillment time, baby. Most Ferrari, least Baby Bulls. I don't think they get it together yet.
Fair enough. And I've got Mercedes with the most points, and I've got Haas with the least. And I realized in my Mercedes most points, if I have Leclerc on the podium, means I'm predicting a really bad day for Lewis Hamilton. And so I don't know how I feel about that when I put these things together, but okay, that's what happened. All right, let's do our Zoomy and Gloomy Boy predictions. Kyle says Esteban Ocon is going to be his Zoomy Boy, which is interesting, choosing a Haas driver given their high-speed issues. But hey, he's going for it. Hopefully Ocon can do it. Gloomy Boy, he says Fernando Alonso. For reasons we've just mentioned, that might be a good pick. Ebony says Colapinto Zoomy Boy, believing in the new boy coming in, new-ish boy, I guess. And Gloomy Boy, Ebony has Lewis Hamilton. Good Lord. Meg, who you got? Zoomy, Gloomy.
I want you to know, chat, that this is what I verbatim wrote inside of our rundown. Please, God, let me have Leclerc happy in Italy.
Should be please, Pope. Please, Father.
Please, Papa Leo. Please, please, please. I would say I would convert to Catholicism, but you don't want me, so that's okay. Gloomy is actually, I think, Kimi Antonelli. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's going to be really hyped to be home. And just the first time everybody races in their home, they never seem to do very well because they're overcommitted and they're just really excited. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my pick.
We
Yeah,
have so many
fair enough.
contradicting podiums, but also Zoomies and Gloomies.
I know,
I guess
listen,
we're covering all bases here.
Just want you to know that originally I had Lando being in third, but then I decided, nah, I'm going to just go full in on Italy, and then I didn't adjust my Gloomy prediction, so that's on me.
Fair enough. Deepti also calling you out. Intense.
Well, okay, I was also partially calling Ebony out because she got Colapinto as Zoomy, but also Alpine with 0 points. So, like, I guess if he doesn't crash, that's good.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's, I mean, he's honestly, he's already got kind of a leg up because he's in the car again. And so that's something that he wanted and expected to happen. And now it's happened. You know, it took 5 races into the season, but now he's in a car again. So, you know, if he doesn't crash it and maybe he can still like get no points but finish ahead of Gasly, maybe that is enough to make him a Zoomy boy. I don't know. I'm wish casting on Alpine. I'm doing the role of Ebony right now. I'm wish casting on behalf of Alpine. Look at my life. Deepti, what do you got?
Yes. Okay. For my Zoomy boy, I have Carlos Sainz. Like we talked about, the Williams is starting to look good for both cars. So hopefully he can have a really good weekend. And then Gloomy boy, I have Isaac Hadjar. Like Meg said, I don't think the Racing Bulls will really have it together. And him being a rookie, especially, I think the track might be actually kind of difficult for him.
I'm sad to hear that. I've actually liked Hadjar as he's kind of been an underrated rookie. I thought we were going to see some other performances from other rookies, but he's been, I mean, obviously Kimi has a better car, but like he's put in really impressive performances. So I'm sad about this from you.
And he also just seems like a lovely guy. Like everything that happened from the first race.
Yeah.
And like if you watch the Baby Bulls social media content, like he's totally game for them to do silly shit with him. And I just appreciate that in a person. So I wish him well in whatever happens.
Yes, his lip syncs are great. Such good content.
He does Kim Kardashian ones a lot. And I think that's very funny, whatever social media person keep making him pretend to be Kim Kardashian.
Amazing. My Zoomy boy, I've got Kimi. I know I didn't predict him to be on a podium, but I think he's going to be very close to one. And I'm excited about that because I think we saw the flash that we needed to see from him. It didn't take all that long, and he was not familiar at all with the Miami track. He should feel a lot more comfortable at this one, and we will see. I am a little bit worried about the softer tire and his ability and his propensity to vroom vroom all the time, which is great. But sometimes, you know, in practice, perhaps you don't want to crash the car. So we'll see. Yeah, my Gloomy boy, I've got Lewis. I think it's really just about it's really just about the expectations. You know, it's the first Italian race in red. That Ferrari is not a good car. Now, maybe, Deepti, you said they're bringing a lot of updates to the car. Maybe the car is better and we see something a lot better. If that's the case, then maybe Lewis can avoid being the Gloomy boy. But I'm just worried that there's going to be so much pressure. The car is really not up to it. He's going to try and push or he's going to be frustrated. And yeah, so I'm kind of sad about that. That's my prediction. But again, we mentioned it. Ferrari fans tried to warn us. Here we are, Lewis Hamilton fans, living this life alongside Ferrari. How did y'all do this for so long? Okay, let's tell you when everything is. Free practice 1 is Friday at 7:25 a.m. I will not get up and watch it, but I will turn it on I will turn on the replay when I wake up. It's on ESPN2 and ESPN Deportes. By the way, these are all Eastern times in the States. Free practice 2 is Friday at 10:55 a.m. That's much better. Definitely watch that one. That's on ESPN2 and ESPN Deportes as well. Free practice 3 is Saturday at 6:25 a.m. Absolutely not. I won't be up for that one. ESPN2 and ESPN Deportes, but I will watch the replay. But you don't have a ton of time to watch the replay because Saturday, 9:55 a.m., Grand Prix qualifying, ESPN2, ESPN Deportes. And the Grand Prix is Sunday, 8:55 a.m., ESPN2, ESPN Deportes, and there are 2 replays, Sunday, 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. on ESPN News. That's it. That's our preview. Anything else to say before we're out of here, Deepti or Meg?
Get ready for some Italian, baby.
Perfect. All right. Then for Deepti and Meg.
I couldn't follow that up.
I saw you. I saw you look like you wanted to say something and then you just stopped.
Yeah.
So we're going to just say goodbye as we usually say goodbye. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.